Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast with actual character development for once, because this week we watched Planet of Fire.
Written by Peter Grimwade.
Directed by Fiona Cumming.
And aired in February and March of 1984.
Yeah, so I believe the final thing that... This is the final thing that Peter and Fiona both work on for this show, so...
Yeah, this serial is a lot of final things for the show.
Well, Kamelion shows up at least.
So, yeah, our semi-official Kamelion watch finally has something on it, and it's this.
And it's done now.
It's over.
Yeah, the one spoiler I knew about...
Should be a page on the site, Kamelion Watch.
Kamelion Watch.
It would just be King's Demons and this.
Yeah. Wow. No, the one spoiler I knew was the next time Kamelion appears is in the serial in which he gets written out. So as soon as Kamelion appeared in the serial, I was like, well, I guess Kamelion's getting written out in this serial.
Yeah.
And he gets
great write-out, though.
He gets more than written out.
He gets murdered. He's assassinated by the Doctor, who actually is an assassin. I mean, he was trying to assassinate the president that one time.
No, that was a frame job.
A frame job? Anyway, it starts with some lost colony type thing.
It starts on Sarn.
Yeah. And right when you appear, you're like, maybe they're a lost colony, and like that's kind of true, but also kind of not. So kind of like Face of Evil here or any of the other...
Well, at first I thought they were going for like the Middle East because they cut to Perry and Howard, and Perry's like, I want to go travel to... Okay, Morocco's not the Middle East, but...
Even the Sarnians, or whatever they're called, were like, evoked more of a North African thing rather than the Middle East, to me at least. Yeah,
no, that's fair. But Perry was like, I want to travel to Morocco, and then it immediately cuts to Sarn, and I was like, is it supposed to be Morocco?
Yeah.
But then like...
it was a bit... I didn't mind it. I actually liked it. I was like, are they on Earth, or what's going on here? Are they just some random cult out in the desert in Morocco?
And then they were like, but we're on Sarn, and I was like, okay, I guess they're on Sarn. So Perry and Howard are in Greece, right? Or like an island, island in the Mediterranean.
I thought they're in southern Spain, because there's that one guy who's speaking Spanish running after the Doctor when he pays with those weird coins in Gallifreyan or whatever they are.
I guess possibly.
And like she's talking about going to Morocco, so it's like literally a swim away. I mean, people do that. They swim from Spain to Morocco.
I don't think Perry would be able to do that.
Yeah, especially because he jumps in the water and starts drowning.
Given like 10 minutes from now, what happens?
We forgot it actually starts with these two guys out in this wasteland dying. They're like in this rock quarry type thing. They're like climbing up this hill.
It's probably actually a rock quarry, knowing Doctor Who.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, we might not make it to the thing that we're trying to make it to. And the guy's like, oh, maybe we're going to die. They're not that enthusiastic about dying, though. They're
I mean, who would be, except Kamelion? Ooh. Yeah, well, they make it, I guess it's like some sort of observatory of some sort, because they're like looking out upon the landscape, and they're like, look at the landscape, and he's like, I'm a chosen one, and they're like, wow, you're a chosen one, because of this brand on your arm. They say there's been like other chosen ones before, and his name starts with an M, but I don't remember what it is right now. Malcon. It's like the latest in the line of succession, I guess.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Perry and Howard are
arguing about something. Okay, so Howard is like one of the worst actors on the show so far. In the first scene where he interacts with Perry, he's like literally just looking at the ground while he talks to her. Did you notice that?
No, but I did notice his complete lack of enthusiasm when talking with Perry.
And with anyone.
Also just top-notch acting.
And I mean, honestly, Perry isn't anything to write home about either. I don't know who plays her.
Nicola Bryant.
Yeah. her acting gets a little better when she starts interacting with the actual
with
good
better
actors,
actors.
but it's still not great. She's kind of the female Adric, honestly.
She's better than Adric, though, in her
Slightly,
one serial.
she's slightly better than Adric, but honestly, that's what I thought.
I'd say she's a decent amount better than Adric.
Yeah, just slightly more.
She's a good amount better than Adric.
I guess we'll have to see.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm also basing this on, like, another serial I've seen that she's in, so...
Well, I mean, it does take a lot to be as bad or worse than Adric, but I mean, she's almost there.
Well, she wants to go to Morocco, like we said, and Howard's like, sure. Well, he says no at first, and then he's like, sure.
Yeah, once he devises this plan, he's like, yeah, all right.
I thought Howard was her uncle, but apparently Howard's her stepdad, so...
No.
I must have missed the dialogue that set that up. We should also read that
the
novella.
Dialogue where he's like, I'm your stepdad.
We should also read that novella that implies Howard sexually abused Perry.
Yeah, I guess we should.
Well, we will.
I guess that's
eventually.
mandatory reading.
Well, we will eventually.
Yeah, I guess.
Decades.
Once we get into the expanded universe and read, watch, and listen to everything Doctor Who related that was ever made.
Yeah. Really looking forward to that. Anyway, so they're like... Now we cut to the Doctor, like a solid 15 minutes into the first episode.
It wasn't that long. It was like 10.
A solid 10 to 15 minutes in the first episode, and they're in the TARDIS, and the first thing that happens is you hear a scream in the background, and it's Kamelion!
Finally showing up after what? A full season of... When was King's Demons? Was that the finale 2 seasons ago?
No, it was the finale to... It was the finale to the previous season that happened. It happened right before 5 Doctors. It had to be season 20. Ago. It had to be season 20 because season 19's two-parter was Black Orchid. Season 20 was last season, and this is season 21.
It was last season. Well, it felt like forever ago. Mainly because the serials between that and now sucked.
The serials between that and now are like a long, hard trek through the desert.
Yeah, except there's no salvation at the end of the serial.
Well, there is now. The serial was decent.
Yeah, by comparison. Like, I mentioned this before, like in any other season, this serial would just be like, okay. It wasn't bad.
I feel like this would have fit in pretty well with season 20. Quality-wise, at least.
Well, I mean, at least it wasn't in season 20, because at least Turlough got a little bit longer on the show.
True.
Turlough was... Well, we'll mention Turlough later when that other thing happens. It was like one of the better parts of this serial.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kamelion's screaming his head off. They're like, shut up, Kamelion! No.
Well, the Doctor's like, is that Kamelion?
We told you not to talk! No.
The Doctor's like, wow, Kamelion's still on the TARDIS.
Does he actually say that? Is he actually surprised that Kamelion is still around?
No, but he's like, is that Kamelion? And Turlough's like,
does he have his cage again? No.
They go into his room and he's just lying on the bed. You know, that really good prop they made for Kamelion.
Yeah, he's in Adric's room, actually. No, I'm just kidding. Turlough's still in Adric's room. I would assume.
On the ground, like, ah.
But yeah, I read that's why Kamelion wasn't a large part of the shows, because the prop was kind of difficult to work with.
They could have at least mentioned him.
Yeah, they could have.
They honestly should have just been like, well, he died when the TARDIS blew up in front of us. Anyway, he's like, he's plugged. Okay, the reason why he's screaming is because he's plugged into the TARDIS mainframe.
He's jacked in.
He's in the Matrix.
No, actually, he's just... I don't know what was going on. He was plugged in, and that caused him to, like, die.
See, at first I thought he was, like, absorbing too much knowledge, but then it's the Master. Master's, like, controlling him.
They, like, unplug him, and he goes into the console room. And then, yeah. I don't know if we get that the Master's controlling him here, or... Yeah, it's actually at the end.
Yeah, it's later. It's like in episode 2, I think.
It's at the end. It's the cliffhanger for one. Is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was the master, like when he changed into the master. Because like I kind of forgot about Kamelion's power.
You
He hasn't shown
you
up.
did the same thing the Doctor did. When Howard shows up and the Doctor's like, "Who's this?" Obviously doesn't assume it's just Kamelion.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he's never met Kamelion before.
No,
Oh,
the
the
Doctor.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, anyway, so they get
Kind of weird if Howard showed up and he's like, hey, maybe it's Kamelion.
so
Anyway, yeah, now we get
they pick up
Perry.
a distress beacon, which is the thing on Earth that Perry's fiddling with.
Yeah, because they're we didn't mention, but Howard is part of like this deep sea expedition.
This deep sea smuggling
They find this platinum
thing.
Yeah.
It's a distress beacon.
And then Perry's like, maybe I'll sell it for cold hard cash.
Yeah, because she doesn't have the... She sold her ticket to get back to New York so she can go to Morocco.
Okay, so wait a minute. Is Perry supposed to be American?
Yes.
Is her actress American?
I don't know. But the accent she's doing is supposed to be American. And yes, it's pretty poor.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, like, is her actress an American? Because if so, then her voice is just really weird, which, like, inclines me to believe that,
I don't know. The character's
I was
supposed
inclined
to be
to
American.
believe, yeah. I was not prepared. Seemed like she was just putting on, like, this really bad American accent.
I guess we could just look out right now if she's American or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty curious. First American companion, I think.
Yeah. All the other ones are from London, England.
Or space.
Or space. I mean...
Wait, what's her full name? What is this?
Perpigillium. She says it in the serial. You don't remember that? When she's like talking to the master chameleon, she's
Wow,
like, my name is
parents must have hated her.
Perpigillium. So her IMDb page says she was born in England, so that would explain why the accent is so poor, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's fiddling with the thing, and it summons the TARDIS. The Doctor and Turlough like, we gotta save this distress beacon. They land on Earth, and Perry jumps off the... Okay, she strips down to her bikini and jumps off the boat. And starts drowning.
Oh god, I forgot I can't swim. That's what it seemed like.
There's so many questions. Like, why would you jump into the ocean if you don't know if you can swim? Whatever. Turlough's like, shoot, gotta save her.
Gotta strip down into my Speedo.
Which he does. And he saves her.
And he brings her into the TARDIS.
Yeah, okay, well, the doctor meets Howard and is like, hey, what do you got here? And he's like, just some junk. And the doctor's like, wow, it's looks like it's mid-Carthaginian period. Well, Turlough gets the beacon from Perry and is like in the TARDIS, and he opens it, and the doctor's like, well, I guess I should go back to the TARDIS. I don't see Turlough anywhere. And he comes in to see Turlough like trying to hide the beacon behind him, and the doctor's like, Turlough. Turlough also reveals...
I thought I made a note about that, but I guess I didn't.
The symbol on the beacon is also the one branded into his arm, which is also branded into the Chosen One's arm, so...
So yeah, that's interesting. Kind of sets up the mystery there.
So they're... Then all of a sudden the TARDIS takes off and they're like, ah! And Perry falls asleep in the back of the TARDIS. Screaming about Howard. She's like,
it's
don't
really
leave
uncomfortable.
me.
I mean, imagine getting into bed soaking wet and like falling asleep and waking up and being like,
The wiki is like... The studio shots and the on-location footage don't match up because Perry's all wet, like right before they enter the TARDIS, but then in the studio shots on the TARDIS set, she's just all dry.
Yeah, maybe she dried herself off.
By walking through the door.
Yeah, why not?
The doors have
maybe
magical drying powers.
Maybe she found a towel. You never know.
I was just going to say maybe the doors just like have magical drying powers.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we've never had evidence to the contrary, so...
So there you go.
And now we have evidence for it, so...
Not really, but okay. Whatever. Yeah, so... What happens next? They're in the console room.
And it just starts taking off, and they're like, did you set the coordinates, Turlough? And Turlough's like, no! And the doc's like, instead of just doing the regular assumption, it'd be, oh, it must be Kamelion. He starts panicking. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah, the doctor was a little weird in this serial.
That's just how he's been to season 21.
Yeah, the fifth doctor is slowly... I don't know, he's more of a third doctor character now, whereas before he was more of a fourth doctor-ish character.
I think he's like a combination of the two.
Well, I mean, we mentioned that in his first serial. Yeah. Like he's kind of he's kind of a combination of fourth. Well, we said fourth and second, but maybe third too.
Which I think
not really first. No, not really first.
William Hartnell's portrayal was uniquely his own. I think we'll mention that more in the retrospective, which is like in 2 weeks or 1 week, depending if we split it from Caves Van Jazani or not.
I don't think we will.
I think we should.
Well, the only reason we did it for Tom Baker is because his run was really long.
Yeah. I feel like we should split it, though, because it gives us more time to talk about it. I don't know, we'll discuss it later.
Yeah, so somehow the doctor is alerted to the fact that Turlough brought Perry into the TARDIS.
She just walks out of the room. She's like, what's going on? And then Kamelion Howard shows up and he's like, I'm Howard. The doctor's like, hey, Howard. You're definitely
How'd you get
Howard.
In here?
They're like,
Why'd you get in here?
Like, we just walked in. You're like, oh, you're pulling a Tegan on me.
Or a Dodo.
Yeah, or a Dodo.
Walked in. What even happens next?
They land on Sarn, and the Doctor and Turlough go out to investigate, and then Howard turns into the Master, and he's like, haha, the TARDIS is all mine! And then episode 1 ends.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I forgot about Kamelion's chameleon powers. So I was like, that's interesting. Maybe he was the Master all along, and then like a minute later I was like, oh wait, yeah, he can transform. But yeah, so I don't remember this, but I mean, according to what you said just a while ago, we predicted that Kamelion would get controlled by the Master.
Well, you did. Back in his first serial, I was like, I know a spoiler about him, and you were like, he's probably controlled by the Master when he comes back, and I was like, well, I don't know that.
Wow,
that's not the spoiler I knew.
So we actually, or I guess, actually predicted something correctly. Interestingly enough. And, honestly, it would have been a lot more effective if Kamelion was a large part of the show. Rather than just have him show up for the first time in weeks and have him be controlled by the villain.
It would be months if you were actually watching the show. It's weeks for us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be like almost a year, pretty much.
Yeah, because of the gap between seasons. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, would have been...
I feel sorry for all the people who, missed the 2 episodes of King's Demons and then watched this and were like, who the hell is Kamelion?
Well, I mean, if you watch the show frequently and you miss episodes and then you don't know what's going on, your first reaction is going to be like, oh, it's probably someone from those episodes I missed.
I mean, yeah, but most times if you miss something, they at least make reference to it, or they make an off comment about it, but they didn't even do that for Kamelion. He just shows up and they're like, what the... And then he transforms into Howard and the Master. I'd be so confused if I hadn't seen Kamelion before this. I'm just not gonna lie.
Well, I am gonna lie.
And you're gonna say...
No.
So, Turlough and the Doctor... Okay, so on this planet, there's 2 factions, and one of them believes in Logar, which is this god.
Yeah, who's their god.
And
that's pretty much just Timonov and maybe a couple other people.
Yeah, well, the amount of people on this planet seems to be set at 10, so...
Maybe that wasn't their entire population. I don't know.
Maybe it was just the population threatened by the volcano that they just live in.
Yeah, they live in a volcano. So, yeah, Logar is the god of fire. That's why it's called Planet of Fire. Though I read on the wiki the original working title was Planet of Fear. And they just changed to Fire, which makes tons more sense. So, yeah, Timonov is the leader of the Logar-believing people.
Faction.
And then some other dude was sort of the unofficial leader of the other group who didn't believe in Logar. His name was Something like started with an A.
Anthony A.
No, it was the first
Amiand.
Yeah, Amiand. It was a first season name. You know, all those confusing names that sounded exactly like each other that started with an A.
I should bring that back. Wait, I think we said that for season 20. I was just thinking last week, like, most of the serials in this season would have worked better in season 20. Like, Resurrection of the Daleks and Warriors of the Deep both would have been better callbacks for season 20 than this.
They both sucked, but they both pretty much belonged in season 20.
Maybe they would have put more effort into it if it was in the 20th anniversary season.
Yeah, maybe, but I guess we'll never know. So yeah, overall, I don't know, this serial was like, felt really anti-religion by the end, honestly.
Really? I thought it was, like, pretty even-handed on both sides. Because, like, there's that scene where Turlough's in the TARDIS and he's like, Logar doesn't care if you believe in him or not. He only cares that you don't fight with each other because Logar loves all beings.
Yeah, there's that. And then there's the end where it kind of turns it on his head, where the anti-religion guy's like, come with me. Logar has given you, or like, your God is fake, but he's given you this chance if you really believe in it. And Timonov's like, yeah, I'm just going to stay and die.
I mean...
Which, like, telegraphs, like, hey, if you believe in whatever, you're kind of dumb and you're going to stay and die.
I don't think it telegraphs that necessarily, but I think he just, like, his faith in Logar was so strong he just didn't know what he was going to do when it was revealed to be fake.
Yeah, it resulted in his death. That seems kind of...
Yeah, but by his own accord, though, that's the thing. It's not like the religion caused his death. He made the choice to die.
Yeah, his religion made him make the choice to die.
I don't think it was like, that anti-religion.
I kind of do. Which, I'm not religious, but it seems kind of messed up to me.
I mean, the show has made a lot of anti-blank points before, so... And, like, if you're a kid watching, you're, like, not gonna care. Like, if you're a kid, you're not gonna...
I didn't care.
If you're a kid, you're not even gonna pick up on that whole religious subtlety.
You might. I don't know.
I feel like you're less likely to pick up on it than, like...
Plus, who said who brought up kids? Like, what does it matter?
Doctor Who was a kid's show. It was designed to be a kid's show.
So...
And I feel like most of its audience was kids, so...
I don't know. Whether it works as a kid's show is another question. Yeah, it was.
For the reboot, I'd say it's definitely like more of a family show than a kid's show, explicitly.
Well, yeah, because they're also trying to cater to the people who started watching it as kids and are now like 40 or whatever. Which honestly is, I don't know what to say about that.
Well, you haven't seen it, so you've seen like a couple episodes.
Well, I mean, I don't know. There are franchises that like grow up with their not viewer base, but their fan base or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that puts them in as healthy a position as like something that just stays with its target demographic. But I guess this is a discussion for something
when we
completely...
get there, when we get to the reboot.
Maybe not even that. Maybe it's just something completely different that we'll never mention.
I mean, I think we will, right, when we get to the reboot.
And, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting to think about, but I also don't think that it makes interesting discussion for this podcast specifically, so whatever.
Yeah, well. Anyway, the Doctor and Turlough get discovered.
Yeah, I'm sure they still... Sorry to interrupt. I'm sure they still sell plenty of Doctor Who toys, so...
They do, so... they get discovered by the non-religious fact. Okay, so there's this prophecy that like an outsider is going to show up, sent by Logar. So the non-religious faction discovers the Doctor and Turlough, and they like bring him back to the town. They're like, see, Logar's a fake. These visitors aren't from Logar. But then the religious faction discovers Howard Kamelion, who's like all shiny and also disguises the Master sometimes. And like, see, he's from Logar. So
there are also those scenes with Perry and the Master running around.
Yeah, Kamelion turns into I think
I'm just going to call him the Master. It's too confusing to call him Kamelion.
Well, he turns into Kamelion because he tells Perry to take the comparator out of the TARDIS before he turns back into the Master for like the rest of the serial. So Perry takes the comparator, and the Master needs the comparator because he needs the Doctor's TARDIS
to unshrink himself or something.
Or he needs like a component from the TARDIS to fix his TARDIS or something. Like
I thought it was to unshrink himself. Because, I mean, that was the whole thing here, is that he was trying to make a new tissue compression eliminator. which is kind of funny actually. But yeah, then they set up how Perry can tap into Kamelion's inner self and turn him back into Kamelion.
Briefly.
Yeah.
She has strong will, I guess is what they're going for. I completely forgot about that aspect of Kamelion's character until the Doctor starts controlling him later. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the thing they did in King's Demons. So
yeah, well.
Perry and Kamelion run around for a bit, and Perry gets separated, and she's like, help! She's like in the middle of a desert, and she's like, I'm gonna die! And
interestingly enough, she's like, Dr. Turlough, help! When she just met them, like, for 5 minutes, probably even less. I was like, that's a bit weird.
I mean, if you, like, walked into the spaceship and they, like, they tell you that you're not on Earth, and then they, like, wander out of the spaceship, and then the other guy in the spaceship tries to kill you, you know, I think you'd, like, call for help from the two people who didn't try to kill you immediately.
I'd just be pretty skeptical of the whole situation.
I mean, also, you're in the middle of a desert, and you need to call for someone who you've seen recent. Well, she also sees the Doctor and Turlough walking, so...
Well, I mean, I'd just call the cops, personally.
In the middle of a desert.
Or the Army.
In the middle
or
of
the Navy.
Yeah, with what cell phone?
Well, I mean, I have a phone. She doesn't have a phone.
This is 1984.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be lost in the desert in 1984.
Exactly.
Because I wasn't born yet.
I mean, yes.
I would have my phone. See, I would think ahead.
How would you... it probably wouldn't work in the desert. There'd be no cell reception. I mean, you never know. I'm just saying probably.
If you just throw it and maybe it'll hit someone. And alert them to the fact that you're in the desert.
If you can throw it and hit someone, you can just be like, you can just yell, hey, help.
Well, no, maybe you just throw it really, really far. Like 1,000 miles.
Right. Must be Superman. So... I liked how...
Still kind of weird to me.
Yes, well... I liked how the two factions both found quote-unquote outsiders and used them for their own purposes. I thought that was interesting. They're like, see, he's not from Logar. And the other faction's like, see, he's from Logar.
Yeah, it still felt kind of anti-religion.
Not really. Not really.
In my opinion, it did.
There's the people who, like, sort of believe in Logar, but also sort of don't. So when the outsider shows up, they're like, wow, Logar is real. But then later when the outsider is revealed to be fake, they're like, nah, Logar is fake. Just kidding. They're like the casual Logar believers.
They're the non-practicing Logar believers. Logarians? I don't know.
Logarns.
Logs.
Logs. I don't even think there's a tree on this planet. So, Turlough escapes, I think.
Oh yeah, he's still wearing those boat shorts.
He does for the rest of the serial, so...
He does for the rest of his run.
Yeah, his run around the block. His run to go find Perry. He finds her... Well, okay, so Malcon is like, so there's this crash spaceship, and Turlough's like, please take me there, and he shows him his brand. And Malcon's like, wow.
First he's like, who are you? I don't believe you. I don't trust you. And then he shows him the mark of whatever it was called. Something or the other.
Yeah, whatever. The Masonic mark. It's the Freemasons.
They're behind it all.
I mean, actually, it kind of did look like the, if you, like, squint a little bit.
Kind of just looked like a Star of David with the right side up triangle turned upside down and, like, moved up a little.
So it looked like two triangles, two upside down triangles.
Yeah. Well, like, it looked like the Star of David with the one the other way. And moved up a little.
So two upside down triangles with the touching.
That's what it would look like.
Yeah. I'm just wondering why you had to go through the whole Star of David triangle turned upside down method when you could have just said two upside down triangles.
Well, because it's not just two, like, next to each other or, like, two
with the top tip touching the bottom.
Yeah, because, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's like Star of David with the one turned upside down.
Interesting thought process. My thought process is, wow, it looks like two upside down triangles.
Well, because like one was overlapping the other, so it's like, kind of looks like Star of
I
David
didn't think
there.
it looked like the Star of David at all.
Wow, then that's just your loss.
I don't feel like I lost anything by thinking that.
Because you're anti-religion. No, I'm just kidding.
No. Anyway, they go to the ship. They find Perry there. Woo! What a coincidence! Because the desert looks miles wide, and it looks like it covers the whole planet. Actually, to be honest. And she's like, Turlough,
Perry.
Hey, it actually works kind of well for Perry. Better than all the other companions so far.
Except Canine. Canine's works pretty well. Master! No.
No.
Lugar! No.
Tagana!
Okay, so, alright, I have something to say about Tagana. I just realized, like, last week, and I can't believe...
Tegan with an A?
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't mention that in all the weeks that Tegan was on the show. Tagana is just Tegan with an A. Maybe that's why we liked her so much. Because we subliminally were thinking about Tagana.
Okay. A little bit
Probably
of a
not.
stretch.
Yeah,
a
probably
little bit
not.
of a stretch.
Well,
So
maybe.
Perry's like, the master's here, and Turlo's like, the master? We gotta go save the doctor. Except she doesn't say it like that. She's like, the master.
The master.
And Turlo's like, the master? Meanwhile, the doctor's encountered the master. He's like, whoa.
Meanwhile, the master.
The master's like, burn them. And the doctor's like, I don't know where Perry is. And the master's like, I believe you, doctor. Burn them.
Yeah, because they have this, like, burning ritual. Seems kind of unfair. And kind of anti-religion.
I feel like it's just anti-burning ritual, to be honest. I mean, we had the
I
Aztecs before that was anti-killing people sacrificially.
I think most cereals are anti-killing people, whether it's sacrificial or not.
Yeah, where's my pro-killing people?
Yeah, where's my
cereal?
pro-war cereal? What is this? I didn't start watching for this nonsense.
I mean, you started watching Doctor Who because we were going to have to do a podcast about it, so...
Yeah. Kind of the worst reason to start watching something. I mean, what if we just hated the show?
And then every episode would have been, this show sucks.
Might have been funny. Might have also gotten old after a while.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have survived nearly as long, but...
No, we could have just gone through the whole thing hating it.
Well, anyway, we didn't, so... the Doctor and the Master... Episode 3 begins with them talking. They're like, well, what we gonna do? And then Perry shows up, but she is given the comparator to Turlough. So the Master takes Perry and is like, ha ha ha, and leaves. He's trying to get the comparator, and Turlough's like, Doctor, the Master's here. And the Doctor's like, wow, who would have guessed, Turlough? Who would have freaking guessed?
Turning on the snark there a bit. And then Turlough reveals some of his backstory, which was nice. Probably one of the best parts of this serial. And like we mentioned a couple weeks ago in that forgettable serial whose name I'm forgetting, fittingly.
The Awakening?
No.
Frontios.
Yeah, Frontios. Turlough's backstory was kind of, one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, he has one of the best write-outs because his write-out actually ties into his backstory, so...
Yeah, wasn't just out of the blue like a lot of them.
Spoilers. We finally said it.
And he actually has a backstory. I mean, some companions don't even have that, or just have, like, some mild information about themselves.
Yeah, well, a lot of them have, like, backstory enough to get them into the TARDIS and then, like, never expand on it, like... Romana was sent there by the Time Lords, but she was actually sent by the White Guardian. Well, okay, I guess she had that reveal later that it was like the Guardian, not the Time Lords, who sent her. Sarah Jane
Yeah,
was
I
like a
mean,
reporter impersonating her
that's
whatever.
that's one of the ones where I'm like, okay, it's kind of just barely anything, and then she's kind of just
Well,
there.
those are like better than the people who just wander into the TARDIS. Like Tegan's introduction was like pretty lackluster. She just walked onto the TARDIS and was like, "I'm on the TARDIS now." At least like Romana and Sarah Jane and K9, I guess to an extent, like have reasons to be on the TARDIS.
Well, I think Tegan also did get like roped into it by the master, which makes it better than like I don't know Dodo or I mean even Ben and Polly.
Yeah, I
Ben
mean,
and Polly was kind of like
Ben
the
and
same
Polly
deal.
also just kind of just walked onto the TARDIS.
I mean, yeah, they had their own sort of reasons, I guess, because they were also helping deal with the war machines.
Steven
but
also just walked onto the TARDIS.
yeah,
Liz didn't even get on the TARDIS. Joe.
Joe was kind of
Joe joined the unit because she like wanted to
yeah, it's still
do
kind of thin though.
something. I don't remember.
It was
what
her uncle or did something or the other.
Right.
Her uncle sent her to yeah.
Her uncle sent her to yeah. You know.
Anyway,
Adric also just wanders onto the TARDIS. Kind of. He stows away on the TARDIS. Anyway.
yeah,
What
happened?
even happens?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember episode 3 that much.
Episode 3 was the kind of the low point of this serial.
Yeah,
so.
okay, so Turlough reveals not all of his backstory yet, but he reveals that he has this brand and
He thinks Malcon is his brother because he also has the brand, and the ship that they came from was his dad's prison ship. That's what he reveals right now.
no, he doesn't reveal all of it yet.
Well, he reveals
he
that
reveals,
now,
he reveals
but
that, but he doesn't say that Malcon. He thinks Malcon was his brother. He says that like a little bit later, and
you're
then
right,
he
yeah.
reveals like everything a little bit later after that.
Well, he reveals that it's his dad's ship, and he's like, "We should go and investigate, Doctor." And the Doctor's like, we got to stop the monster, Turlough." And Turlough's like, "Yeah, I guess. Let's go stop the monster." And the monster's like, people are just following him. He's like, "I have gifts for you under this giant column of brick if you just lift it up." And they're like, "Yeah!" So they lift the giant stone column, and the monster just goes into the TARDIS and is like, "Ha ha ha ha!"
Because that was his. We didn't mention, but that's what his TARDIS turned out as a low-budget stone column.
Styrofoam stone column.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Doctor and Turlough come out and they're like, "Shoot!" And they're like, Turlough reveals that he has the brand. He's like, "I'm your new chosen one," because Malcon gets shot.
Yeah.
Stunned, I guess, but well, shot. He's like, "Ah!" So Turlough commands them to let the Doctor into the TARDIS, and he goes into the TARDIS like, "Dang, the monster stole the temporal locking device or whatever."
He uses his brand to control the people. He uses his arbitrary mark to religiously control people. Interesting.
Bit of a stretch.
No, I don't think so.
The Doctor.
So yeah, Perry is also running around. I
in
think
the Monster's TARDIS. The Monster's TARDIS has black walls, which I really liked. They looked way cooler than the white walls. Maybe it's because we've seen the white walls for 21 seasons now.
Yeah, but at the same time, would you want the Doctor's TARDIS to have those same black
to
walls?
be black? No. I think it fits the Monster though. His TARDIS is black.
It does. I mean, I liked it, but it's not like I would have wanted the
They
Doctor's
made the
TARDIS
sides
to
of
be
the
like
console black too. I mean, they obviously reused the same set as the Doctor's TARDIS and just like covered it up with some probably black construction paper, to be honest.
There's black fabric, maybe. I don't know.
Construction paper would be cheaper, probably. Well, actually, no, because you can buy fabric in bulk. Now I don't know.
It's just black crayon.
Just spray paint. Like the next week, they're like, "Shoot, gotta paint over it, gotta paint it white again."
We didn't think this through.
Mistakes were made. Anyway, Perry opens up this box.
Yeah, because we've been cutting to these scenes of the Master wearing this like headset and being in this control room thing, controlling Kamelion.
Yeah,
And you're like, where is he? Oh, maybe he's in his TARDIS, but no, he's actually in just this like mini little box.
he is in his TARDIS.
He's in the little box thing.
Well, Chameleon Master reveals that it's his control box, and Perry tries to turn it off, and she opens it, and the Master's just
Mini.
really small, and he's in there, and he's like, "You will obey me."
You will obey me. No, they don't do the chipmunk voice, but they should have.
Yeah, they should have. That would have been hilarious. And
that's
Perry's
how
like,
the episode
"Ah!"
Jeez. Pretty sure Perry is just mentally scarred after all of this.
She still asks to join the Doctor at the end.
As most companions probably are after their first serial.
What, are you implying they like just become desensitized to it as they travel with the Doctor more?
Or maybe they just go so off the rocker in their first appearance that they I don't know, they're just insane.
They should do that. They should. Well, actually, they kind of do it in the reboot, but not to the extent. They should have a companion just from their first experience go insane, and they just become a recurring villain. I think that'd be quality.
Maybe. Maybe.
I think it'd be interesting. Like the Doctor would be like, "You were my friend." And be like, "You ruined me." Whatever. Be interesting if they did it correctly. They could do it really poorly, and it would just be terrible.
One step into the TARDIS.
Breaks down on the floor, gripping the head, rocking back and forth in the fetal position.
So yeah, that's how episode 3 ends.
Episode 4 begins with that, and the Doctor's like, well, the TARDIS is linked to the Master's TARDIS because that's how Kamelion got us. Yeah, so if we can just get the time controller unit back, we can follow the Master wherever he's going. And the Master's like, haha, bye! And he like lands on Sarn. They like, okay, Turlough gets all the people into the TARDIS just because there's like a minor rock slide. And he's like, get in the TARDIS!
Well, the volcano is gonna erupt, I think.
Well, then the Doctor kicks them all out because he's like, we're fine for like another couple hours. Everyone out.
I'm sure that's what they said in Pompeii. Just kidding.
Pompeii actually shows up in the reboot. So the Doctor...
Okay.
The Doctor... what does the
Turlough
Doctor
reveals
do?
a little bit more.
The
Turlough
Doctor's
is
like, we gotta find the Master.
I think Malkon is my brother.
The Doctor's like, okay.
You're like, why do you think that, Turlough? And he's like, there's no time to explain.
Well, he's already said it's his father's ship, and he's like, Malkon was the only infant on that ship, so he'd be like my age by now. So I guess this takes place in like 1984.
I don't know. I don't care.
There's no implication or even statement that the Tryon people have mastered time travel. I think they actually haven't, and they exile Turlough and Malkon at the same time, and Turlough went to Earth and Malkon to Sarn.
Well, I think this is a good time to actually explain more of the backstory stuff. So even though they don't do it here, but we're already talking about it, so whatever. So Turlough and Malkon and Turlough's dad were prisoners or political.
There was a civil war, and Turlough's dad is on the losing side.
So they exiled them. Turlough got sent to Earth. Malkon,
and his dad and Malkon got sent to Sarn.
Yeah. And there was, I guess, a crash or explosion or some malfunction that caused most of the people on the ship to die. And I guess that's where their sort of fire cult comes from, is that the ship was on fire.
Yeah.
And Malkon was like one of the few survivors. I guess the other ones were the previous chosen ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, honestly, I kind of like this. You know, they didn't make it overly complex. Just kind of kept it a simple, good backstory, but they also kept some of the mystery there because they didn't reveal it all at once.
And they still tied it into his write-outs, so that was good.
Yeah, they actually had a write-out have something to do with the character. Which, okay, they've done before.
Just realized we have to do a Kamelion retrospective.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, no. So the Doctor and Perry go to find the Master, and Turlough is like, well, the only way we can get all these people like guaranteed off this planet if you don't come back, Doctor, is if I like activate the machinery and call for a Tryon rescue ship.
Hope it still works. Well, it does, so he's lucky.
And he fixes it up, and he's all upset because he hasn't told the doctor yet that he's on the losing side, that he was exiled, and that when the trials come, they're probably going to arrest him. He's basically doing the second Doctor thing in the War Games.
What?
Remember at the end when the second Doctor's like, we got to call the Time Lords to put all these people back, and he calls the Time Lords and he like tries to escape with Zoe and Jamie because they're gonna arrest him and put him on trial, which they do.
Well, Turlough's a lot more lucky.
Yeah. So the Doctor and Perry find the Master, and they reveal that there's this like special healing gas on this planet.
Yeah, what the heck was up with that? It looked like some purple noxious gas that would just kill you the minute you breathed it in.
And they heal up Malkon, and then they send him back. So there was what I also liked about episodes 3 and 4 was there was a scene that you thought was just going to be a throwaway scene because the Master Kamelion demonstrated the tissue compression eliminator on these spacesuits, and he shrinks 2 of them, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then later on they bring it back because the one that's regular size they give to Malkon and send him back to save the people. And I like that
to pretend to be Logar.
No, I think the Doctor said that as a joke. It's like, it's your turn to be Logar, because Malkon was like...
And then
Malkon was part of the Logar cult, but I think it's implied that he like didn't fully believe in it.
Yeah, he questioned it. That was like one of the first scenes when what's his face. Do you remember that really cool set they had that was like the palace or something? Right at the beginning, it was only in one scene.
Oh, in this serial, yeah.
That was really cool. They should have brought that set back.
Well, they
looked way better than everything else.
Work with the fire caves. Anyway, I just liked that they had that scene that they thought was going to be a throwaway scene, but then it wasn't because it showed up again later, became important.
When he walks into the little citadel thing, and they bow to him, and they're like, Logar. So. And
then he takes his helmet off, and he's like, yeah, I'm not Logar.
Yeah, your god's not real, guys.
He was like, just kidding, I'm wearing a suit, ha ha.
Yeah, I think we didn't mention that the reason the Master's small was because he's trying to create a new or better or modified
more lethal, I think he says.
Tissue compression eliminator, and failed and accidentally shrunk himself. So I guess he actually made it like less lethal, right? Because he shrunk himself without killing himself.
Or maybe he just built in an immunity for himself just in case. At one point in the serial, Turlough wonders if the Master's in another regeneration crisis, and I'm like, 1, Turlough, how do you even know he ever had a regeneration crisis? And 2, the Master's
obviously got told off screen.
The Master's not even in a Time Lord body right now. So anyway,
yeah, maybe Nissa's dad is about to die.
Anyway, the Doctor kills Kamelion.
Yeah,
Kamelion. Well, okay. It's actually kind of sad because Kamelion like breaks free of the Master's control and he's like, Doctor, kill me. And the Doctor's like, but, and the Camelion's like, please. And the Doctor kills him.
Okay, 1, it would have been more sad if Kamelion was a better actor. And 2, yeah, if he had shown up at all.
This is the second companion the 5th Doctor's had die on him, like technically by his own hand. So I'm going to be weighing on the Doctor a bit.
Well, Adric wasn't like his own hand, really.
I mean, the chain of events that's put in motion is put in motion by the Doctor. I mean, no, he didn't, but like the chain of events is like put in motion by the Doctor. So.
I guess Adric had his chance to escape, and then he jumped out of the escape pod at the last minute because he needed to figure out if he was right.
That scene could have been that scene could have been done so much better too, was the thing. But anyway, this scene could have been done so much better too. But I don't know. It's just like the 5th Doctor specifically has had 2 companions die on him now. And I feel like that's got to be weighing on him.
Maybe he just doesn't care. Well, maybe he's just like, whatever.
Well, I think because last week he promised Tegan he was going to change his ways, and then this week he like basically
brutally murders Kamelion.
He basically saves everyone in the serial except for the one guy who gets like gunned down by the Master or someone, and then the one guy who decides to stay behind and die. So
yeah, it's kind of weird that he just did kill Kamelion.
Well, Kamelion asked for it, and
yeah, but I mean, normally he wouldn't. Even if that were the case.
I think he also went through with it because he was afraid the monster might take control of Kamelion again and use Kamelion for evil. Especially since the monster probably still has that control box. It's now useless because Kamelion's toast.
Maybe. I don't know. Did still seem a bit weird.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's the end of Kamelion.
Pretty sure all this death's going to be weighing on the Doctor next week because it's like, it surprises me that the Doctor's getting written out next week because I feel like we just got the fifth Doctor.
Well, I mean, after the fourth Doctor, it's like, I don't know, and we're going to finish the sixth Doctor like around the end of the year or like beginning of next year. So pretty quick.
Wow, we might even be done with the seventh Doctor by the time the next season of the reboot airs. This next season of the reboot doesn't air till April.
I don't know, but when did we start the fifth Doctor? May? April? I think it was either April or May.
I think it was May.
Well, we'll have to look that up, but
May 29th was our first episode on the fifth Doctor released, so the end of May, basically.
That was quick.
This episode will go out end of September, so June, July, August, September, 4 months.
Yep. Way quicker than almost a year.
I'm like
of the
pretty
fourth
sure
Doctor.
that's the quickest we've gone through a single Doctor. So
Yeah, I guess.
because the third Doctor was longer than this because
He had all those long, drawn-out serials.
and he had 4 seasons compared to the fifth Doctor's 3. So anyway, yeah. So the ship arrives. The Master burns in the fire and like supposedly dies, but we all know he hasn't because it's the fucking Master. So they'll bring him back like next week or something for revenge. And yeah,
Turlough tries to get everyone out because the volcano is gonna erupt or something.
Yeah, he gets them on the Tryon ship.
And Timonov decides to stay. Did we ever even mention Timonov's name? I think we did, maybe once. But yeah, Timonov decides to stay.
Yeah, we forgot to mention there was a seismic like equipment that harnessed the power of the Earth to generate electricity, but the latest boss is going to be too much to contain, so they evacuate the planet.
And yeah, they're evacuating on the Tryon ship that comes to rescue them. And Turlough is just going to have to face the facts that he's going to get arrested again or exiled again or something bad's going to happen to him.
Well, okay, so the people show up and they're like...
The guy, rather.
The guy. And Turlough's like, well, if I wanted to run away, I wouldn't have called a rescue ship. And they're like, yeah, political prisoners have been pardoned, you're good. And Turlough's like, sick.
Sweet.
And but then he like goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, have a good time, Turlough. Like, the doctor already knows Turlough's going to leave to go back home. Yeah. That's been Turlough's like main prerogative since he was introduced.
Yeah, well, Turlough's like, he wants to go, but he kind of doesn't. And he says that, and the doctor's like, you know what, Turlough? It's time to go. And Turlough's like, you know what, doctor? It is time to go.
Kind of harkens back to Susan when the doctor locked Susan out of the TARDIS. Like, I think you need to move on, Susan. I liked this write out. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's probably one of the best.
And I liked
way better
that.
Than Tegan's.
Actually, I'll save that for the Turlough retrospective. Let's just explain the end of the like 2 minutes that are left in the serial before we do the retrospective. So Perry's like, "Can I join the TARDIS?" And the doctor's like, "Yeah."
Sure.
And that's all that happens. Actually, well, Perry's like, "I have 3 months left of my vacation." And the doctor's like, 3 months, eh? Why not? I'm like, "You have a time machine, doctor." Like, why, doctor?
So we see the doctor's suspenders.
Yeah, the doctor doesn't wear his coat for this serial.
Yeah, and they have all the question marks on them, and it looked kind of lame.
Yeah, I guess I could bring this up now, but like a common complaint I've like seen when I'm just like roaming the internet for Doctor Who is that people like dislike the 5th and 6th Doctor's outfits because they look less like outfits and more like costumes. Like they don't look like
question marks.
They don't look like something that someone would just pick up and wear like Doctors 1 through 4 did.
Well, I mean, 4 is a bit of a stretch.
Okay, I don't know who in the right mind would wear that long scarf, but...
But no, I see what you mean. Like, 4 didn't have the question marks until his last season.
His final outfit. And then, like, the Sixth Doctor especially, everyone's like, no one in their right mind would put this coat on, like, every single day and just call it good. Like, whoa.
Well, thankfully the reboot remedies that.
Yeah. There's this picture of the Sixth Doctor. I'm gonna see if I can find it and use it in the Sixth Doctor banner. But it's the Sixth Doctor with a rainbow umbrella, and then everything else is like washed out brown, and the TARDIS is in the background, like hasn't been painted in years, so it looks all dingy. And then someone commented like, you can see the TARDIS cringing in the background, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, honestly, I think tryhard would be a good word to describe these costumes.
Well, I do like the fact that the Fifth Doctor's outfit looks composed and like is sort of down to earth.
Sort of.
Which is weird to say about a Time Lord, but whatever. Anyway.
Well, I mean, the Third Doctor.
Yeah, and the Fifth Doctor also wears a vest for the first part of the serial where they're in, like, somewhere in Europe. This vest I don't think he's ever worn before and ever does again, so...
So there you go.
Yeah. And those really stripy pants. We haven't really seen the stripy pants before because the coat kind of covers them. But, yeah. They remind me of, like, creamsicles.
Okay. So, yeah, this is by far the best serial of this season.
Yeah. Like I said last week, the serial is increasing in quality as we go on.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say so, but anyway.
Well, I feel like by the same token that you're saying the serial is better than by comparison to the ones that came this season, I think we also kind of judged some of the ones this season harsher because last season was so good, especially coming like straight off the Five Doctors and then things like Margin Undead and Enlightenment. And then we came into this season with like pretty high expectations.
They're still bad, though. They're still bad.
I don't think they're as bad as we said they are, though.
I think they are. I think Resurrection pretty much sucks. Warriors sucks. Awakening is pretty bad. Frontios is also not that great. I think they're bad.
I don't know so much. I feel like if we watch Warriors back to back with something like The Massacre, we would consider Warriors like a modern classic, to be honest.
Yeah, no. So we should probably talk about all the companions that left and joined this serial.
This is the first time in a while we've had a complete companion switch in the whole TARDIS.
Yeah, when was the last time that happened? Must have been... Well...
I don't know.
I mean, Leela...
It must have been
leaving.
Leela to Romana. Well, no, because Romana didn't join in the same serial, did she?
Well, Leela to no one.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Leela would be the last one, because Adric joined before Romana left, so... Yeah. So, it's been a while. And
this is, I think, the first... Well, okay, 2 companions get written out here. Kamelion is as a debatable companion, and then one joins. So that's, I think, the first time that...
Yeah.
You know, a write-out/joining has had to do with 3 companions in one
Well, I also
episode.
think, I didn't confirm this, although I meant to. This might be the first time we have a writer who wrote both the introduction serial and the departure serial for a companion. I'm, like, pretty sure there's another writer who's done it, but I can't remember. If you have to exclude Sarah Kingdom, though, because she joined and left in the same serial. Because, what's his name? Also wrote Margin Undead, which introduced Turlough, and then he wrote this, which makes Turlough leave. Which I think is better than another writer writing the serial, because you can like bring in some of their backstory in the final serial.
Which he did. So,
yeah, let's Kamelion retrospective. He existed, you know.
He's... I don't know.
He could have been used a lot better.
Yeah.
Could have been used at all.
Yeah, he could have been used.
And that's all we have to say about that.
Turlough retrospective.
Thanks, Kamelion.
Turlough is actually one of my favorite companions.
Yeah,
mainly
me too.
because he actually has a character, unlike many companions. Okay, that's not fair. He actually has story, unlike many companions.
Backstory.
Because other companions have a character, like Sarah Jane, but she doesn't really have a story.
Perry has character.
I mean, Sarah Jane had a character. Joe had a character. Okay, Leela had a story too, but kind of. But, you know, Ben,
Romana had a
Polly,
story,
Victoria had character. Jamie had a character, but they didn't have a story. Turlough had a lot more of a story.
Turlough
and
had-
actual character development and
yeah,
enlightenment.
Turlough probably had more character development than like any other companion. Be honest, because like, well, he starts off as really cowardly,
Irritating.
timidly irritating dude, and then like in his final series, like, well, you know, I can't run away from my people forever. I'm gonna have to face them eventually, and he like finally mans up and.
Man up, Turlough.
I mean,
Walk it
okay,
off.
my
Walk it
phrasing is a little
off.
off, but I think the point is still there that, like, throughout his tenure with the Doctor, Turlough grows as a character.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
so-
I agree. Yeah, I think your phrasing was a little off, but I agree.
Look, we're doing this off the cuff, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find the right phrasing, okay? But I definitely enjoyed that. I liked watching like Turlough develop as a character, even if we didn't like pick up on it every week, or we didn't even mention it every week sometimes. Because sometimes the changes are just too subtle to even like notice in the short term, but then over the long term you look back and you're like, okay, he changed.
Yep.
And I think like we'll do the same thing with the Fifth Doctor, because I definitely think the Fifth Doctor's changed since he was introduced.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with Turlough is that a lot of the villains in the show are the Doctor's adversary, the Master, the Daleks, the Cybermen, whoever you want to name. But Turlough sort of had his own villain with the Black Guardian. And I mean, despite the fact the Black Guardian kind of sucked, I mean, it was kind of...
His original appearance was okay because he was like mysterious and only showed up at the end of the overarching plotline. When they brought him back, he kind of sucked.
But that was kind of nice, a companion having their own sort of villain in and of themselves.
Like how Tegan had the Mara as well.
Yeah, we didn't mention that last week because we honestly, I think, gave Tegan kind of a crappy retrospective, but...
Well...
We can talk more about Tegan.
Her departure left much to be desired. We'll talk more, obviously, about all the companions in the retrospective, like we did for the Fourth Doctor retrospective. But I like Tegan. I'd place him like Turlough and Tegan, but I'd place Turlough pretty high on my companion list.
Turlough's in my top three. My top three, and I don't know what order these are in.
Put him in my top 5, probably, just because I like Leela and Jamie and Romana so much. But I definitely
Romana
put him...
2.
Romana 2. I definitely put him in my top 5, though. For sure.
Yeah, I don't know how I would rank him, but he's in my top 3, along with Leela and Tegan.
And Jamie. Is Jamie in your top 5 at least?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if I have a top 5. I have a top 4. Everyone else is kind of just,
Yeah, now that you mention it, I don't know if I have a top 5 either, because I don't know who would be the 5th person. Probably Tegan, actually.
I put K9 in my top 5.
Bring back K9. Letter writing campaign, let's go.
So, Perry, the first American companion.
And the first... in 7 years, this is the first time we've had no non-human companions. So, I mean, no non-human companions.
Yep, and there was a time when we had only non-humans.
Yeah, like a solid
Romana
run from
and
when
K9.
Romana was introduced till now.
Yeah, I mean,
Until
Tegan.
So it's going to be interesting, I think. Although they never played up the alien aspect of Turlough or Nyssa, so. Probably not going to be much change there. Also, Perry's going to survive through the Fifth Doctor's regeneration, if you didn't know this already.
No, she's getting written out next week.
So, which I think we've said before is it's good to have a companion who...
Well, interesting at least, who witnesses a regeneration.
It's also going to be more interesting because Perry's not going to know what regeneration is about. When we had... the fourth Doctor regenerate to the fifth, we had Nyssa and Tegan and Adric, who all got explained what regeneration was by the Watcher, so they knew what was happening. Whereas Perry's just going to be kind of in the deep end there. So it'll be interesting to see, although I already know what happens in the Twin Dilemma, how she reacts to the regeneration and what happens. So
nice. Just kidding. But yeah, honestly, she doesn't seem that interesting. Bryant, I don't think, is a great actress.
I think I've heard I haven't really heard spoilers, but I've heard vague rumblings that her story gets really time travel-y later, which is going to be great. Or maybe that's the next companion.
Maybe it will be great. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, if they do it Margarine Undead, it will be great. But if they don't, then it'll be terrible.
Well, I called her the female Adric before, and that's a bit hyperbolic, but
especially since she's had one serial and she was nowhere near first serial Adric.
She's pretty low though on
but,
I don't know.
Do you remember first serial Adric?
I remember Alzarius Adric. He was terrible. And honestly, you're right. She's not even near that bad, but I didn't like her that much, and I think that has something to do with the acting.
I think the accent is just not helping her, to be honest. I think the accent draws attention to the fact that her acting isn't that great. If she'd just gone with a regular accent, I think she might have just gotten away with it.
Yeah, and what does her being American have to do with anything? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless it comes up later for some reason.
I'm hoping it comes up later.
Doctor Who in New York. That might be kind of interesting. I already went to New York in The Chase.
For 2 minutes, though. For 2 minutes.
That's where they met Steven. Or
that's when I met Peter
his
Purse.
Body double. His human body double. Well, I Steven was human. Maybe that was his ancestor. Whoa. But yeah, overall, Perry just made me realize how non-Americans think Americans sound. Which is I don't know.
Well, it's
really southern.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna say it's interesting because non-British people have this preconceived notion about what British people sound like. But if you go to England, everyone will tell you that there's a lot of regional differences in the accents, and it's the same thing with America. How a lot of people have this preconceived
there's no
notion.
British accent. People say British accent, but there's so many different accents.
So it's people have this preconceived notion about what Americans must sound like, but it's there's so many regional differences in American accents that it's and I think she's supposed to be from New York, but
she doesn't sound.
Her accent sounds like deep Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They think, because Americans emphasize R's a lot more. Whenever someone else tries to do an American accent, they end up sounding really Southern. Because, the Southern accent is the one that emphasizes the R's the most, I think.
Yeah, well.
That's just what I
think
get
you're
out
right.
of this.
I think you're right.
They end up sounding Southern to Americans, that is.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, that they're, going that route and going for a non-British companion. But it's only going to be interesting if they actually do something with that. So.
Yeah, Tegan being Australian didn't have anything to do with her character. Other than the fact that her being a flight attendant explained why she was Australian in...
Yeah, an Australian in London.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're out of things to say about companions in this serial. Email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry mails, love letters. Your final thoughts on the Fifth Doctor as we near his regeneration. And we bid a very fond farewell to Peter Davison. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next week, we watch Caves of Androzani. But until then, the end.